Hello there. So we're back with the Scrambler 400X, and today's little project is going to be fitting a tail tidy. I'm not, well, like lots of us I suppose, I'm not a massive fan of this style of sticky out low down number plate. I'm not really sure why all bikes seem to have it. Maybe it's something to do with lighting regulations or whatever in a particular country, and with the markets being global, everybody has to endure it, but I would like something a little bit more tucked away. So I've been waiting for one to come up that I liked. I had a couple of requirements. First was that I wanted the indicators to be mounted down next to the number plate rather than kind of tucked up above like some of them appear to. And the other critical thing for me, really, I wanted something that reused the original number plate illumination light, because I didn't want to do any cutting of the original wiring loom at all. I wanted to have something that was simply plug and play and that would be completely reversible should I choose to do so. So let's have a look and see what I've bought. And here we have, this is British company Tech, and their Speed 400 Scrambler 400X tail tidy. And this is the box it comes in. There's the offending article. You get box of fastenings, a little teeny reflector, catalogue of other stuff that they've put in there as bait to tempt you to buy something else, and and a sticker. So yeah, who knows what I'll do with that. Right, so let's get on, eh? So having done the two-handed stuff, getting rid of the tape, what have we got inside all of this? There we have it. It's nicely powder coated. It appears to be no sharp edges that I can see, and as you can see, the indicator mounts are up right next to the number plate, not up here somewhere like they are on some of the alternatives that I've seen. So let's see about fitting it, shall we? Well, the first job is to disconnect the rear lamps by unplugging this little plug and socket junction. Now, access is fairly tight. I haven't got particularly big hands, but it's still a bit of a struggle. So the easiest way to get at it is to undo this screw, which is an M6 with an 8mm head, and then you can pull the plug out and you can disconnect it. You lift the little tag here, lift that up, and then it just unplugs. The next job underneath the back of the machine is to undo the 4 screws holding the tail tidy on. It's 1, 2, 3 and 4, and they need a 5mm Allen key. So with those 4 special shouldered bolts removed, the whole assembly literally just comes off. It's a fairly large access hole for the plug, so there's no fiddling about. It yeah, very straightforward. So the next stage is to strip the indicators and the number plate and the number plate illumination light off of this assembly. Right, in order to get the cover here off of the underneath and reveal the wiring, you've got to remove these two rubber grommets which go through the top and bottom parts. Then 1, 2, 3 screws, a bolt here and 2 nuts. So you've got, these are 8mm spanner size, that's 10mm spanner size, and these are 4mm Allen keys. As you can see, the little rubber grommets are fairly substantial, so they do take a little bit of poking out, but they're fairly pliable. Yeah, they hold the top. You can just about make out in there 2 different halves, and they hold that top part of the assembly together. I suspect if you were feeling brutal, you could simply undo the screws and pull the rubber grommets apart, but there you go, that's them out. So with the M6 bolt with the 10mm spanner head in the middle there removed, and the 2 8mm nuts, off comes the number plate holder part and the reflector. 3 M6, actually no, they're M5, 3 M5 set screws with the 4mm Allen key. The last thing holding the bottom cover on, is the screws that secure the indicators. So we'll get them off, then we should be able to take off the bottom plate. So with those indicator mounted screws released, the bottom cover simply comes off. There are no hidden catches or anything. We just prise them apart, and there we have the wiring revealed. The right hand indicator has a white plug, the left hand indicator has a black plug, and this is the tail light wiring. To release everything, we've got these little clips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there are 2 further screws down in the depths there. They look like Phillips, possibly JIS. I shall confirm when I get it apart, and then we should be able to remove the wiring. For the sake of good housekeeping, I've chosen to put the little P-clips back in with their original screws, because I will put this tail tidy to one side, probably in the box that the new tail tidy came in, so that it's all there when I want to, should I want to put it all back together at some point, or if somebody needs it and I want to sell it. Anyway, there we are, they're back together. They were number 1 JIS, and the screws for the number plate light were number 2 JIS. You could have made do with the Phillips, but my JIS screwdrivers fitted much more snugly, which is a little bit surprising given it's the bike's been made in India. I wasn't expecting them to be Japanese standard screws, but there you go. That's what fitted best. Okay, so we've got the indicator units mounted and the harness connected. You get given these short lengths of heat shrink to put over the plugs, because they are now going to be out in the elements compared to how they were hidden up inside the original plastic tailpiece. They are fully sealed, so that shouldn't be an issue, but there's a nice cosmetic touch to cover them up. It does suggest in the instructions to reconnect the harness and make sure everything is working correctly before you put the heat shrink on. So let's have a go. And right hand indicator corresponding on the front, left hand indicator and on the front. Number plate light is working, tail light still working. And now that's the hazards. So next job, we'll get those bits of heat shrink shrunk, and we will get the cable in all neatly tied up. Right, so here we have the heat shrunk, and we come to my first, albeit slightly minor, gripe about the product. The wiring passes through quite a large hole here, and there is a corresponding quite large hole underneath the seat, which is right above the back wheel. So I feel that there is a definite requirement for some form of grommet in that hole to stop muck and water and debris being thrown pretty much straight into the back of here. I think for the sake of 10p on the grommet, that's quite an oversight. I've got a couple of different types. Fortunately, I'm going to see if I can use one of these, because this middle hole is quite stretchy and should nip all the cables together quite well. Failing that, I have a more conventional one there, which should fit equally well, but maybe not give me quite such a good seal around the cables. Anyway, wish me luck, and I'll get on with trying to fit that. Well, back again. That actually was fairly straightforward. So my strong recommendation would be you invest in a grommet to fit in the hole. Lay one in before you start fitting the kit, because that may well save you a huge amount of grief when it comes time to putting it together, or more importantly, a few weeks or months down the line when you don't end up getting water into the tailpiece of your bike. Right, so the whole assembly fits back up underneath with the 4 supplied screws. You have to use theirs, you can't use the originals. And then plug it all back in. You've got a little bit more slack on the cable, which you can tuck up underneath here. So that's that all done. Now we come to my other gripe about the supplied kit. Triumph's original number plate bracket here, so it doesn't fall off. It's one of these kind of, it comes blank. There are holes already in it from here and here. These are pre-cut, but these slotted ones aren't drilled, and they're a fixed distance apart. Anybody that's tooling up to make something like this could measure them. It would have been really nice if those 2 slots were the same distance apart overall, and the same height clearance from the number plate light, so that your original number plate or license plate or whatever it's called in your jurisdiction could bolt in through the same holes. But obviously that was too awkward, so I'm going to have to drill some new holes in my brand new number plate to make it fit in the short term and get a new number plate in the medium term, because well, I know we're all different and I'm a nutcase, but I can't live with 2 unused holes in a brand new number plate on a brand new bike, so I shall have to get yet another one, which is somewhat frustrating. And probably my final point is that the reflector supplied in the kit, and in my country a reflector of some description is a mandatory requirement. It's quite a nice little button reflector, but they've only given me one. So, you know, where am I going to put it? I'll see if I can find another one the same, and I'll put one in each corner. That will be quite neat, I think. If not, I'll have to find something that I can fit along the bottom. That's a little frustrating. Again, I know I'm a pedant, and most people are not in the least bit bothered about these things. They'd put it on anywhere that they felt it fitted, and they'd be quite happy with it. But I like a bit of symmetry and a bit of balance, and that thing would just annoy the bejesus out of me every time I walk back towards the bike if I didn't have something a little bit neater or symmetrical, or however you want to describe it. So there we have it. I'll drill some more holes and get that bolted up, and I'll stick that reflector on to get me back together and road legal again, and I'll be back in a minute. Right, and here we are back again. So here's the number plate fitted and the overall effect on the back of the bike. Sorry about the reflections. I am reasonably pleased. As you can see, that's how far I had to move the mounting holes to get it to fit on the bracket neatly, but overall I'm quite pleased with that. The one saving grace for my own particular brand of insanity is that marking the holes and re-drilling and mounting the plate has shown that the text on here is not on God, I am insane. The text on here is not square in the centre of the plate anyway. It's been offset to one side. It kind of fools the eye because of the way the leg of the 4 there and the G, that distance and that distance are the same, but that distance is shorter than that distance, and that distance is shorter than that distance, and it's kind of reinforced by the fact that the 1 is not in the centre of the number plate light, and the reflector, if I put it in the middle of these two, the gap here, it's right over this side. If I put it in the L, it's over there. So I've kind of got it sort of, yeah. I know, I'm daft. What can I say? But yes, I shall order a new number plate. I shall specify that I want it spaced so that the font is in the middle, and and I shall drill it and fit it. But in the meantime, I do think that that is significantly better than the original setup, which had the number plate all the way down there. The indicators are actually exactly the same distance apart on here as they were on the original setup. As you can see, if I offer up the bracket there like that, they are the same distance apart, but they are quite neatly tucked in next to the number plate there. I quite like that. I quite like that. So let's go back here. And there we go, just for effect. Lights and indicators. Thanks for watching. You can join me in my lunatic asylum another time.